platforms, Facebook and Twitter, and we also have an Instagram account at Ecircuit TV Show. Make sure you follow us and make sure you send your request to DJ Talk. He has so much lined up for you guys. Now, today I want us to talk about something that's really on the rise, and something that's been personally of a concern to me, and I know to a lot of people, and that's mental health. Because quite a number of people have committed suicide. People who I personally just knew through Instagram. You just see these people posting, and then one day you see someone just writing a note and saying goodbye, and they commit suicide, and that's just that. And people are going through so much issues to do with mental health, and we have two guests here to just take us through that, because they have the experience. One of my guests, her name is Jaaziya. She's been here, before, and she's been through that experience, and she's just gonna tell us how is it so far, how is life so far, and even more lessons that she has learned. And of course, I also have Julius, who is a counselor, and he's going to give us the professional perspective, or advice side of that. So you make sure just that you send in your questions, your comments, and if you have someone who is going through something and they need to talk to someone, you can reach me directly at Christine Kai. Our guests are also going to give their social media handles so that you can reach to anyone, talk, just say what you're going through, because you never know. Everyone, someone is willing to listen to you, someone is willing to help you. You don't have to carry all the problems in the world, like it's the whole world is your responsibility. It isn't. But let's just get straight into it. So I'll just give you guys a chance to introduce yourself. We can start with Julius.
Thank you, Christine.
Yes.
My name is Julius Gitari. I'm a cancer psychologist, and I work in a training institution. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Jaaziya.
My name is Jaaziya.
Yeah.
I was on the show before, and I talked about my experiences with mental health and how art, specifically poetry, has helped be a more positive deterrence towards that.
Yeah. Now, I mean, honestly, this is something it's spreading so fast. It's rising so fast, and like I'm saying, I've seen people who I was friends with on social media. Just someone about 2 weeks ago, and he committed suicide. I think he was in New York, but he's from Angola, and he just wrote a note. I mean, what's going on? Really, what's really going on? I think, Jaaziya, we can start with you.
Actually, I had a friend who committed suicide in like August after being on the show. So it was funny because when I was on the show, I was talking about, oh, it's better now, like it's getting better, and he was actually really well known. He was a very popular person, so I know that his death affected a lot of people, either directly or indirectly. And I think one of the biggest things I've realized is that men don't talk. Women, we still have outlets, but you find that the biggest, or at least I found the biggest group of people who are affected are men, because men don't have a space to talk about it, or you're always being told when you're younger, don't talk about it, don't cry, man up, be a man. So I think toxic masculinity is a really big problem when it comes to being able to open up and share.
Yeah. Julius, I mean, what are your thoughts on the same, regarding, men don't really talk a lot about what they're going through, and also just what's happening? Why are there, high cases of, suicide, especially of late?
Yeah, thank you, Christine. Now, maybe to echo the point Jaaziya said, actually, according to research, the rate of suicide is higher on the side of men than women, and one of the causes, like she said, is about the inability, the stereotype in our society has taught especially men, not to express the emotions. Yet the essence of the emotions that God put in us, they are supposed to be expressed. And the emotions are energies. And from maybe the physics we studied in school, we are aware that energy can never be destroyed. It either change from one form to the other. So this energy, when it is not now expressed, it becomes destructive. And this is one of the challenges that now we're encountering when we are not given the space or the opportunity to express our negative emotions. They get now converted into something destructive. Then again, also, we are trying to look at the lifestyle that we have today. It's very stressful. There's a lot of environmental stresses that are now affecting our biological makeup, our body makeup. So when these interact, and probably your genes are quite susceptible or they are weak, then the interaction between the genetic predisposition and the environmental stressors are the likely causes of these suicidal ideations and the major cause of death of suicide that many men are engaging in. Yet also women are not equally left. They are also equally predisposed. And again, also we can be able to attach this also to the lifestyles and also the stressors from the environment. Yes.
All right. So I mean, Jaaziya, you know, being a lady, what are some of the main factors that lead most women to commit suicide? Just from
experience. I would say like hormonal changes, because you already have like your body is already going through so much, you know, with menstruation and ovulation. So obviously there's a chemical imbalance, and I'm sure Julius can go further into that because I dropped biology when I was like in year 10. But yeah, like, so you have that, and then you have on top of that now your brain is imbalanced because there's a certain, again, Julius, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's certain chemical imbalance, or you're missing serotonin. So as a result of that, and then already with the hormonal changes your body's going through, it's like kind of a concoction of all these different emotions, and it becomes so overwhelming to a point in that moment you genuinely feel that just to end the pain, that's all I need to do.
All right, so you know, from your experience as a counselor, maybe because we have different mental disorders, you know, depression leading to suicide is just one of them. Maybe what are the others that people probably don't even know about?
Now, there are various causes of mental illness. Now we have different categories of mental illnesses. Like we have mental illnesses that are caused as a result of the use of drugs, what we call the drug-induced mental disorders. Chemical use and abuse can lead to mental disorders. Then we are talking also about the anxiety disorders, which are many. And majorly, we have 5 major categories of anxiety disorders. Like we have an anxiety disorder we normally call panic disorders, phobic disorders, post-traumatic stress disorders, or obsession compulsive personality disorder, and generalized anxiety disorder. There are many, but at least you'll be surprised that almost every individual has got a certain level of an anxiety disorder, you know, because of the situations. Then we have also the disorders like schizophrenia, that is now mental, whereby now we've got a split mind, and this was normally referred to as the madness, though the term is not very good to create stigma. Actually, it's a mental illness. Then we have conditions like also whatever you are calling now the moody disorders or the depression. We have either the major depression and the minor one, or the condition normally called the bipolar, whereby you have sometimes one is very excited and other times they are very down. We also have personality disorders, which are very many, and that cut across the lifespan. At least every individual has got one personality disorder or the other. Though now for the category of personality disorders, an individual cannot be hospitalized. There are normal people who are dealing with it in daily lives, but still there is a personality trait that I'm portraying which are not in order. Then we also have other mental conditions, like now with like the what we call the somatoform disorders, whereby you've got a bodily pain or disturbance, but there's no apparent cause. There are no germs at all. What we call the somatoform disorders. We have also psychosomatic conditions, whereby you are mentally disturbed and your body is manifesting some challenges or the wounds and other manifestations of challenges like numbness. Yet there is no apparent cause for this. So then we have also conditions that come because of the weather changes. Like you are aware that the rate of depression is very, very high, especially during the cold seasons than during the hot season. And also there's a lot of manifestation of disorders, especially because of the weather changes. Like majorly in Africa, we have this condition we call the lunar eclipse, which is that majorly during the spring and the winter and autumn seasons, which run from probably the month of May to September there. And after that, now many people that we're meeting with these mental conditions, they recover after now the weather changes. So we have all those kind of conditions that are prevalent within communities and even within the society at large.
All right.
Yes.
So how exactly does the weather, affect, your sanity, for lack of a better word?
Maybe echoing from what Madam Jaaziya said, like you're aware that there is the waves of the sea and the moon. When they interact, they interfere with the brain functioning of an individual, and that's especially during the month of June to September. There we have the period we normally call the lunar eclipse. So that interaction between the waves of the sea and the moonlight, they affect our mind, our mental functioning, and this causes now a lot of mental dysfunctionalities or deviations from now the acceptable norms, and this triggers now a lot of challenges, and sometimes we might be wondering why even some of the children are abandoning the schools without understanding even the weather changes. So I believe that every student who goes to school, they normally know that they're supposed to do the exams. So it's normal, it's a norm. The reason now I'm going to school. So probably instead of attaching to fear of exams, we can also try to look at how the weather interferes with our brain functioning, and because that has these kind of challenges. It's similarly like the way if you're working under these very big electric lines, especially the high voltage cables, if you work there during the day, by evening you'll be having a lot of severe headaches because of the interference of those waves with your brain. Yes.
All right. So is that what happens when you go to a doctor, and you're diagnosed with depression, and you're like, no, I'm not depressed. There's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing stressing me, because there are quite a number of instances where people don't even know they're depressed, and then they go and
they get a shock when yes, actually it's because we are not aware about our environmental changes and what is happening to our brains. It's just like if you climb Mount Kenya right now, you need to be very careful because of the altitude. So to you it might be just a hike you are going. However, that weather changes from the lower level to the higher level. It has got an impact with your body functioning, and it might cause even the breathing challenges, and sometimes you might even die. Yes.
All right. So other than drugs, and we'll talk a bit more about drugs. So we've talked about the climate changes, but Jaaziya, I want us to talk about something that the major thing right now. We are doing our businesses, we are doing everything using social media, and just relating social media to mental illnesses.
I think our generation is more aware in comparison to, like, there was a tweet I saw, has depression always been around, or are we just starting to talk about it? And when you think about it, and my lecturer actually mentioned it in class, she's like, her grandmother didn't know, like, she was being raised during the Mau Mau times, during independence. That was her concern. Her concern isn't a word like depression, but so you see that it's shifted with generations. The kind of priority has shifted, because we see so many of, like, now how you're saying, like, your friend through Facebook. We've become more connected without having to interact with each other, and we become more invested in one another through these apps, and you get worried when you see that a friend of yours hasn't posted in a while. And it's like, I don't know, it's bittersweet, because it's like, if we had that social interaction, we could avoid that. But at the same time, the awareness that we're being able to spread, like the campaigns and these kinds of shows where we can talk about such issues, and just the videos that you see on YouTube, it has helped bring out the conversation a lot more. I think the only problem we're having right now is the fact that the conversation had started so much earlier in the West, and within like Africa and Asian and Latin American communities, it's just starting to come to light. Yeah.
All right, and also, you know, on the same particular note, again, it's bittersweet, like you're saying, because then I would ask you, how much influence or how much has social media affected, you know, us in terms of, has it increased the rate of, you know, depression, suicide, and, you know, all these other mental illnesses?
I was actually having that conversation with a friend of mine yesterday, because she was saying that we were talking about eating disorders, and that in line with how it triggers depression. So when you see, like, you know, a celebrity online and you see the lifestyle they're living, or you see the body that you want, like things like that, and then it kind of triggers you into like, oh no, I want that, how am I gonna get that? I'm falling behind, I'm not doing what I need to do, you know, like there's a lot that goes on. So in that moment you become so obsessed with the fact that that person is doing better than you, that you don't realize that that's just what they want you to see. Like, you don't know what's going on beyond that. And you see it right now with so many celebrities, you know, like Demi Lovato, Mac Miller. These are people who are doing so well on the charts, who are famous and rich, and they have everything. But behind the scenes, we don't really know what's going on.
Yes. So, I mean, Julius, also, what are your thoughts on the same, the impact of social media on our mental, our sanity?
Yeah, thank you, madam. Actually, to echo the point she's saying, there is the issue about the stereotype. And actually, social media is a very, very powerful tool of even molding a behavior. Like, I would like to be like you. And it's like she said, I don't know behind the scenes what you normally do with yourself. So this aspect of failure to accept ourselves the way we are and accept our uniqueness has got a major contribution. So the moment now I stop being myself, I start now living you, and I forget that people are in sizes but life is in phases, then I'm in trouble, because that lowers my self-esteem, and it becomes very difficult. People with the low self-esteem also become very reactive, because they imagine that everybody and everything is against them. And this now can lead you now to the depression curve, and it can also lead you now to take away your life. Yes, because you feel that you are liability, you are good for nothing, there's nothing good which can come out from you. Yet to me, I believe every individual comes with a vision and an ambition in their lives. So, and until you tap to your vision and they actualize it, nobody else will work on it. So you have to accept who you are and understand your strength, the weaknesses, and the opportunities around you, and now try very hard to reduce your weaknesses and increase your strength, so that they can be able to give you the opportunity that you require to maximize your potential. Yes.
Yeah, because comparison is a very, you know, bad thing. You don't know what someone else is. You want their life, but you don't know what they do to, you know, have the life that they do. You want someone else's life. So, you know, on the same also particular note, when you're talking about even some of these celebrities, and, you know, you've mentioned that also drugs is one of the leading, you know, causes of mental illnesses. So let's just talk a bit about that, because most of these people are found, you know, they've OD'd, so they're using these drugs, you know, to feel better about themselves. Yeah, so maybe we can start with Jaaziya, just a feel about that, and then Julius will tell us more.
I mean, I'm 22 right now, so if my mom is watching, I'm sorry. But I have a lot of friends who do recreational drugs. I don't support it, because I don't think that that's a good escape. Even the last time I was on the show, we even talked about prescribed medication. And every time I have a friend who comes up to me like, oh, I'm going to go and see a therapist, and if they do prescribe the medicine, I'm like, take it, but I personally wouldn't recommend it, because at the end of the day, like Julius said, it can kill you, because it is still an addiction. And it's not the best addiction to have. But you see there's so many variations of drugs right now. You get drugs as cheap as 100 bob or like 50 bob, but you don't know what that's going to do to your body because you just want that temporary high. And it's just not going to be worth it in the long run, in all honesty. It's such a short-term escape. And just because something doesn't happen to you today or tomorrow or next week doesn't mean that the more that you do it, it's not going to catch up with you. Even if it's not death, maybe like something in your body, you know, like a certain type of disease or an illness as a result of abusing those drugs. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. To echo something on the area of drugs, why especially the youth bracket to engage in drug abuse? Actually, one of the major challenges that every time I get a small challenge, and the challenges are there in life, and they must come. Most important thing is to know how to cope with challenges. Even as like in my field where I am, many people think that because you are a psychological counselor, you have no problem. Yet, we normally tell them that we are just a wounded lion that are still roaring. So you have challenges in life that we also undergo. But now, the difference between us and them is that we have the ability to know how to cope with the challenges when they come. So now, for the youth, when a small challenge come, they would like to learn from it. So escapism is one of the reasons why these young people like to take drugs. And yet the drug advertisers, they only show them the positive side of what? The drug, they don't show them now the other side. And drugs, they have been here with us ever since the Bible times. Remember this gentleman called Noah, the man who found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Yeah, the same person was the same person to engage in drugs. So they have been there and they'll still be there. So the challenges is that now, when we don't want to face the reality, we want to learn away from it. So we started engaging in escapism behavior. Then again, if the family is not functioning very well, when they are dysfunctional, this is the family. We normally say that from the family system's perspective, the best child in the family is the one who normally become affected because physically and psychologically this child is not mature enough to learn away literally. Like the way if I tell you now, by the time I arrive in the evening, I should not see you, you take off. But these young children cannot be able to learn away literally. So instead now they'll take a psychological painkiller, which is a drug, so that even when you are making noise to them, they cannot be able to hear. They're in a different world. Then also there is the issue about now the issue to do with the ignorance. Sometimes I want to know what it means to take a marijuana. I just want to have that feeling. But little do I know the effect it has when it enters my body. I want to know what is this message that makes somebody to sniff a glue and they can sleep comfortably on a cold weather and they are very comfortable. So that aspect of trying to experiment because of ignorance lead these young people to that kind of a challenge. And there's no drug, even the medication drug that we are taking, which do not have side effects. Yet the manufacturers many times do not tell us that side. So drugs have got a little challenge in our lives because the moment you get addicted, there's a challenge. Actually, addiction is a major challenge which is now causing a lot of mental illnesses because to reverse it is difficult. Even for the normal alcohol taking in the country here, to rehabilitate somebody is not very cheap. It's very, I think the cheapest one can pay is around 30,000. And you also not assured that once they have got they have gone through the rehab centers, whether they will still recover. So, and one of the major causes is just experimentation. I wanted to know what it means. Then I got hooked. And therefore it caused a lot of challenges, and sometimes the family members have got a tendency also to continue to maintain you because me, your dad, assuming I'm your dad, and I love you as my daughter, in case you get hooked and you threaten me that you want to hurt yourself, I send you money. You request me to send you money. I will still continue to give you to send you money. So I become an enabler of a sickness that we have created because of our noise in the house. So I become now the enabler of you to continue in that kind of a mental illnesses. The moment you start now fighting everybody, you become now a community problem. Because now, once somebody get a mental illness, they are no longer individual challenges, they are no longer family problem. Now you become a community challenge. Because anytime you leave the house, you are likely to hurt people who are not my immediate family members. So become a challenge. Then also it's also become very, very expensive when it comes to treatment and maintaining you. You also become a stressor to us now that you have got this mental illness. So it's an area that really will require a lot of concerted effort and a lot of understanding to be able to really assist these kind of people. So drugs have got a lot of challenge, and to me as a professional, the only word of caution I can caution those who have not tried it, not even to attempt. Those who are in it, it is a corrective work that we need to do to be able to support this individual to come out of that kind of a situation, to take them through the process called the wheel of change.
All right. So as we wind up, in the spirit of mental illness awareness, which I feel like where we are going right now, we should probably have a week every month to just sensitize people, like every first week, or I think like every month should be mental awareness week. But in that spirit, maybe Jaaziya, you can also tell us about your event, also encouraging someone who is at home and they're going through something and they don't know who to talk to or what to do.
Starting with encouraging people at home, I always say, because I'm very vocal about my experiences with my mental illnesses, and something I always say is I wish when I was in high school somebody older talked to me about it. And I always tell people that, like, if you need someone to talk to, even if you don't know me, even if you've just seen this post randomly or you've just found me randomly, you can always reach out to me. My Instagram DMs are always open for that if it needs to go into a phone conversation, because I feel like it's a lot easier to talk to someone who knows what those experiences feel like, because your friends and your family can only help you so far, and then I feel like you just have to also take that step for yourself. So is this the part I just drop my handle? Just allow.
Drop your handle. You can do that.
It's just at Jaaziya, so JAAZIYAH.
All right. Then just briefly tell us about your event.
Yes. So my friend Ivan, who is in charge of a poetry company called Ink Overflow, he wanted to bring about, because he's also been through a lot of experiences with his mental illnesses, and he talks a lot about it in his poetry as well. So he decided to put up a showcase last year to do with poets who have dealt with mental health concerns and how they use their poetry to kind of combat that. So this is the second edition, which is happening next Saturday, the 13th, at the Michael Joseph Center from 5 to 9 p.m.
All right, thank you so much. Of course, I'm sure people will reach out and be able to do that. Julius, please do also share your social media handles so that anyone who wants to reach you and talk, and get some help, you can share your social media handle and also your phone number if you would like to.
I'm not on the social media personally.
All right.
Because of my own value systems. But I can give my phone number and also to inform maybe the nation at large that on 10th we're having an event at my place of work whereby we organize a mental health talk to sensitize the people. Now we are moving from the word of now the theoretical approach now to the practical. We'll be offering a free counseling services, and also we'll be also giving talk on the areas of mental health and the intervention strategies that are required, and also to help the society to know where now mental health the illnesses are actually at least in the 21st century. So we'll be having that kind of a free kind of a workshop from 9 to 4 p.m. And we'll also be having free counseling services for those people who are having challenges like depression, personality disorders, and other conditions that are disturbing them. Even they should do with the drug addiction. You'll be offering that kind of a free testing and screening. My phone number is 0712 77 1277. Yes.
All right. Maybe you can repeat that again.
0712 77 12 77.
All right. Thank you so much, Julius and Jaaziya, for coming and sharing that with us. And you can reach out to Julius. You can reach out to Jaaziya. You can reach out even to me, or you can reach out to literally anyone, because sometimes you feel like it's easier to speak to a stranger about your issues rather than people who know you, because maybe you're afraid of stigma or embarrassment. But just reach out to someone, talk to someone, you will get help. That would just be my message for today. But thank you so much for coming through, and of course let's continue creating awareness about mental illnesses. So I mean, it's been kind of tense, but let's move to a bit of music. Also, music is relaxing. It's medicinal. Exactly. It's medicinal. So DJ Talk helps some of us and our viewers, just feel good about ourselves. Guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.